Vlog L is an optional upgrade for Panasonic cameras. It's a flat color profile designed to give you more dynamic range of your camera. It costs around 100 American dollars or the equivalent in your local currency. I've been shooting with this over the last couple months and I've had some requests to do a bit of a review on my experience with it. So I've put together some sample footage. Download comes with obviously the color profile itself. It comes with the option to use waveform monitors on your camera and to also view LUTs in camera. I do recommend that when you're shooting, you're only shooting in 10-bit footage because 8-bit footage ends up with these weird blobs. I have some footage from the other day that I've converted to 8-bit footage, and you can see that my skin tones, there are some green and magenta blobs. It's weird as well that the camera, when you're viewing the footage on the screen, it's almost like the camera can't process 10-bit footage for playback. So you still see these blobs when you're looking at it in camera, but once you get it onto your computer, I find that it hasn't been a problem.
So jumping into things, I've taken similar shots in Vlog L, HLG, and natural profile, and I've adjusted the gamma, lift, and gain so that they all reside on similar places in the waveform. For HLG, I've left as is in one instance, and then converted to Vlog L, and then to Rec 709 in the other instance for comparison. In comparing the four, it's clear that the Vlog profile has much more dynamic range than HLG and natural. But when you compare it to the HLG that's been converted to Vlog and then to the Rec 709, the differences are extremely small. And even when we zoom in, there are some improvements on Vlog L over the HLG that's been converted to Vlog, although it's important to remember that this is an extremely small portion of the original image. There are two trees in the foreground, and when shooting in Vlog, it does register these at two different luminance levels, whereas this isn't picked up in HLG or natural, but the difference between these two levels is extremely small. Again, when looking at this, you can see that Vlog does have some additional dynamic range when compared to HLG and natural. But the HLG converted to Vlog then to Rec 709 is essentially the same as converting Vlog L to Rec 709. Here's an example of an image where I've crushed the blacks and blown up the highlights in recording. The idea here is to see how much detail is picked up close to the crushed blacks and close to the blown out highlights. When you look at them together, there's almost no noticeable difference. For skin tones, I do find that there's a bit more of a difference. I really enjoy the colors of the Vlog compared to Rec 709, whereas HLG has a bit of a weird skin tone color. Even when adjusted to Vlog and then to Rec 709, HLG still isn't quite as nice as the Vlog. And in my personal opinion, all three are better than the natural profile. I did take this outside to see if the results were consistent when using natural light, and I found it to be pretty much the same. And this final example is to show that when converting to Rec 709, both Vlog L and HLG render out to essentially the same colors as you would expect, but for some reason skin tones end up being a little bit different.
So after looking through the footage, I don't think the dynamic range improvements are really all that impressive. I don't think that alone would really be worth buying this upgrade for the camera. I mean, the dynamic range you're getting out of HLG is pretty comparable to that when I'm using Vlog L. I still enjoy working with it. I think it's a good practice for me to improve and get used to color grading log footage, especially if I were to upgrade cameras in the future. But you've seen the footage, so I'll let you be the judge for yourself and decide if you think it's worth it. Thanks for checking out this video, and if you have any other ideas for future videos, please let me know. I'd be happy to hear any comments.